Well, welcome, Pip and Sophie. It's so great to have you guys along at church. We're really excited that you've joined us. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves. Perhaps tell us a bit of your family of origin and how you came to believe in Jesus. What about you, Pip?
Yeah, so for me, I'm the youngest of three. So I've got an older brother and an older sister. We all grew up in a place called Epping in Sydney. And my parents took me along to Sunday school, so I grew up in a Christian family. I didn't really enjoy Sunday school for a variety of reasons. Maybe the games weren't fun enough or whatever. So I decided not to go for a long time. And I didn't really believe in God when I was in primary school. But when I got into high school, my brother Tim and my sister Katie were already at the youth group at church, which is called St. Paul's Anglican in a place called Carlingford. And so I decided to go along with them. And the people there were really welcoming. But what I started to do was to read the Bible. My leaders really encouraged me to read the Bible for myself and to think, have an open mind about the Bible. And on one family holiday, we drove the car up to Queensland. And on the way out the door, my brother and sister had iPods, so they grabbed them. I didn't have an iPod, so I grabbed a Bible because my leaders have been telling me to read the Bible. And I started to read from Genesis onwards. And over time reading it, I realized the Bible is not a bunch of fairy tales, which is kind of what I thought it was. It's a real account of history. And Jesus is a person in history. He's a real person. But not only that, he is God. Not only that, he suffered humiliation and he died for my sin and he rose again physically from death. And those truths of history blew me away. They turned my life upside down. And so in about year 7 in high school, I decided to follow Jesus, to live for him, to trust in him, because I was just so in awe of God's love for me through Jesus. And I was so filled with hope, new hope, that there is actually life after death, because Jesus has gone through it. So that's how I became a Christian. And ever since then, I've been trying to live more and more for God.
Okay, fantastic, Pip. Thanks very much. How about you, Soph?
Yeah, I grew up in a Christian family, one of 3 girls, as the middle child.
I've got middle child issues too.
So I went to church with my family. For me, Sunday school was more of a competition. I wanted to get all the right answers. But it wasn't until I was in year 6, I was part of this group. It wasn't actually with my local church in Carlingford, it was actually with a local church in Beecroft, which is not very far away. I was part of a group called GFS, which is just a girls group where we read the Bible together and played games. And I went on a camp with this group we were having a Bible study around the campfire. And as an icebreaker, somebody asked the question, does anybody know the difference between a cross and a crucifix? And somebody else said it was because Jesus had actually left the cross. He's not still on it. He rose from the dead. And I'd never really thought about that before. And then these other girls started sharing about how they take up their own cross to follow Christ, the sacrifices that they make for him. And I thought, if all of these teenage girls are willing to sacrifice, popularity or, whatever TV or whatever it is to follow Jesus, then this Jesus guy must be a bigger deal than I thought he was. And so going home, I kept thinking about the power of the resurrection and the cost that Jesus made. And I decided to become a Christian, and I went home, I told my mum, and we prayed together. And that's how I decided to follow Christ.
Awesome. Oh, that's great to hear from both of you, that those important things happened for you at school. And so now, a few years on, what are the ways that you're seeking to grow in Christ? So why don't we start with you? What are the things that you think, you know what, this year I'm going to seek to grow in Christ in this way?
I think particularly this year, I would like to grow in selflessness. It's very easy to be selfish and to prioritize my needs first. But I particularly want to have a focus of others, have an outside focus of myself. Particularly now that we'll be living in a community with other college students, I think it would be great if I could be actually more aware of other people and not just focused on me. So that's one way that I want to grow. The other way is that I really want to know the gospel better. I think as as Christians more mature, we think we don't need to hear the gospel over and over again, but we do. And so I want to sit down and through college particularly, really understand it as well as I could so that I can answer any question thrown at me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Soph. What about you, Pip?
Yeah, so really looking forward to starting at Moore College. So we're going to first year college, and I guess it's a different kind of experience to high school and I guess uni, which were a bit more competitive in terms of like, you know, trying to up your mates and get better marks than them and stuff like that. I think I want to have an approach where I seek to love those who I'm studying alongside, people in my cohort, and having the right motivation as we get books to read, as we get assignments to do. I want to not just have marks in mind, but to have this view of the future of hopefully for the rest of my life, I'll have plenty of opportunities to teach the Bible in different contexts. So as I get, for every book or every assignment that I get, I'd like just to approach it as an opportunity to be trained up and to learn more so that in the future I might actually be able to provide more value to the people that I'm seeking to love and teach, and to have that mindset each and every day as we go to college. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. And so, Sophie, you've said a little bit of how life looks differently, as have you, Pip. How else do you think this year is going to be different from last year? Tell us a little bit about what you were doing last year and how this year is going to be different.
Yeah, sure. So last year we were doing MTS.
Both of you?
Yeah, we were both doing MTS, Ministry Training Strategy, at our church that we grew up in, St. Paul's, Carlingford. And so, what that looked like was kind of 5 days a week of doing hands-on ministry stuff and helping around at church, and kind of 1 day-ish a week of study. And this year's kind of the opposite. We'll be doing, 5 days of study and 1 and a bit days of kind of hands-on work. And so that's the main difference, I guess. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, we have to wake up earlier.
Yeah, so we live in Parramatta. It's an hour to get to Newtown Moore College, and our classes start at 8. So we'll be waking up at 6:30, which is slightly different, but yeah.
Well, we hope you guys have a really good year, and we'll be praying for you. And I take it we can ask you about your Growing in Christ goals. How are you going with those? And we look forward to spending more time with you this year. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.